like to call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Cicchini? Here.
I jumped. I saw it.
Here. Mrs. Lamelfe? Here. Mr. Giuliano?
Here.
Mr. Ness is not here. Mrs. Stahl? Here. Mrs. Biddy?
Here.
Mrs. Silveri? Here. Mr. D'Agostino?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Would you please join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Sussex-Wantage Regional School District Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the school building and notice of said meeting sent to the New Jersey Herald and the Star Ledger.
The Sussex-Wantage Regional School District is a responsive, caring, child-centered community. Our mission is to educate each individual to become a confident, competent, lifelong learner and productive, responsible citizen by providing challenging opportunities in a safe environment through a partnership of families, schools, and communities.
Thank you. At this time, we will move on to the report of the Superintendent of Schools.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Due to the short duration between meetings, I don't have any significant information.
Thank you, Mr. Dahl. At this time, we will move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district. Are there any audience remarks?
Okay. I'm so glad I wasn't late. I would have missed it. And I do have to admit, I jumped when you said Ms. Cicchini. That's previous name. So my name is Lisa Frisbee. I have been a member of this community, I see you, for most of my life. I am a graduate of Sussex-Wantage. My 3 children are graduates of Sussex-Wantage. I spent 7 years on your staff. I spent 7 years on your board. And I have 30 years of experience in education, teaching, counseling, all that stuff. I have been in private practice now as a counselor, a professional counselor for 5 years. And please don't do the math on that. It makes me older than I ever expected to be. So, having said all of that, here's what happened. As part of my professional updates, I participated in a training, it was a Zoom training. It was about the impact of COVID on the emotional health of our society, most especially adolescents, okay? I don't have to tell you what that has been through talking to family members, community members, peers in my profession, and a lot of friends in education and clients. We all know that the quarantining and all of the things that have gone on with COVID has been really hard on everybody's emotional health, physical health, but especially adolescents. What this training talked about was the perfect storm. And that's that adolescence is a very difficult time of life. It's already a time when they're differentiating from their parents and trying to understand who they are. 1. Second, impact of social media and the fact that the influences that parents are aware of and have a real challenge in monitoring is an issue. And now you add COVID and the isolation that literally had an impact on our brains to adapt to it. And I could talk forever on that, and if anybody wants to talk about that, I can talk to you about the brain chemistry that creates a situation where we get used to whatever happens to us. When we're in a prolonged situation, our brains have to adapt and have to incorporate it into the way that we survive. Well, now you do that for 2 years, and now you tell the brain, I was just kidding. Now go back to being social and interactive, and everybody is struggling with that, but now you have kids that are struggling with all 3. And the fact that Their substitute was social media, and they feel connected online. And the brain research is that that is not an adequate substitute. Okay, so now they're really struggling. The end result of the training for 3 hours was, we're all screwed. I'm not okay with that. I don't, that's not my personality, that's not what I think we should ever look at a situation for. So it was instead, what's the solution? I'm coming to you now, rather than meeting with administration, because it's a community issue, but I see the solution in the schools, and I would never present to you an issue without presenting a suggestion of a solution. Years ago, I went to a training in Anaheim. The National Teacher of the Year spoke about community service and the value of that to her inner city students, to students in general. My 19 years at High Point, I did a lot of activity-based clubs and a lot of cross-age teaching, and saw the impact of kids helping, not always receiving help, but being the helpers, and how healing that can be, especially to kids who are used to receiving a lot of support. Our kids that need the most support, when they get put in the role of being the helper, there's so much healing that takes place. So now, when I heard that this isolation and the reality that we were actually told, including kids, that we were a risk to other people. Like, you could literally kill your grandparents, is what we were telling kids, and we were told. Social distance, you could hurt somebody if you were just near them. To undo some of that means needing to experience connection, and the way that they can experience that, not learn it, not hear about it, not watch a video on it, certainly not participate in a Zoom about it, but to feel it is to get engaged in solutions in their own community. I was not in the room when community service sort of became a bad word in education. It went to service learning. I'm not sure why that changed, but I know the value of kids being connected. So the solution that I see, and of course, many of you know me, I have a handout on this for you to view at your leisure, is having each classroom sometime in the year be responsible for some type of community service project. It is student generated. It is student planned. It is student carried out. And the teacher and the administrator facilitate, and the kids do. That could take place in their own building, they could do for a younger age. That could take place in a building, another building in the district, or in a community agency, or an activity that's planned. It shouldn't be cumbersome. It should be something they can all participate on and find investment and connection in. And if that's done in every classroom and it's done every year, now we start building the neural networks back that help them feel safe and help them feel important, that they have something to give. So, that's the problem. There's my suggestion, and my offer to you is at any level, I am more than willing and interested to be a part of helping with that. If that means just having a talk with administration if you feel that's appropriate, and because I got all kinds of cross-curricular ideas. If it means, nope, thanks Lise, we got this. If it means, could you show up at school with your therapy dog and that'll be one of them. Whatever you want, I am available for that. So, here's the outline of the solution. Here's a more in-depth description of the problem if you really had a few minutes if you wanted to. I had it at the beginning and then I was falling asleep myself, so I put it on the back. And my contact information, if there's anything about this plan that you are interested in, that I can help with. And that's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome presentation. Awesome.
heart, this district is my heart.
Thank you so much.
And I appreciate the opportunity to present it. That was supposed to be my lead off and I forgot.
And Mrs. Frisbee neglected to mention that she helped hire me as a principal 15 years ago. She has extraordinarily good judgment.
Let me tell you, I do take full credit for that one. That's what I'm very proud of.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
You're
you so much.
welcome.
I'll be in touch.
Awesome.
On that note, before we move on, to that point, before COVID started, there was a discussion with the Community Outreach Committee, Mrs. Stoll's the chair, and we were talking about in the middle school, trying to implement some sort of community service back. Maybe make it like first the grade level competition for second, third prize. But district-wide, really, they could do that, and I think that's, I'd love to get the board's take. Is that something that you'd like to
Absolutely.
look into?
Absolutely.
And, do district-wide, maybe
Absolutely.
building by building.
Even if it's something as simple as first graders reading to the kindergartners. I mean, just to let them know that they can interact now.
Right.
Yeah,
One-
thank God, that's awesome that you brought this up.
One of my clubs did that for Dr. Seuss for every year. One of my clubs at High Point came down and talked to, read to second and third graders. It's so healing on both sides, the kids doing and the kids receiving. Great
Yeah.
idea.
Thank you so much, that was great. Are there any other public comments, audience remarks? Yes, okay. Just please come up to the podium. Okay.
Hey everyone. Hello.
So
I
there's
don't
a
know,
mic.
Jane of Arts, 34 Unionville Avenue, right? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Hello again. I just have a couple things that I would like to address, and I would like to know if our county and our school is going to try to implement. Governor Murphy just recently came out and said, no new news that we signed into law in 2020 to implement the CRT and gender teaching as young as kindergarten. I don't know if it's county by county that we can actually shut that down here in our school systems. I know there's already been some issues happening. They're talking about teaching fifth graders, and I really hate to say this word, but they're talking about teaching fifth graders how to masturbate. They're talking about teaching kindergartners as to whether they want to be a male or a female, or a girl or a boy. This is all signed in from Governor Murphy for the state of New Jersey. I don't know if this is coming from the ESSER money per county, but from my understanding it does. So if you accept ESSER monies, and we're in phase 3 at this point right now from my understanding, are you repenting about this, or are you accepting this? Are you accepting the monies that you're implementing it into the schools? I would like to know this. I think the parents have a right to know this. And then my next issue, my biggest issue is, again, why is it that our schools have taken the Constitution out in the manner that they have? Our Bill of Rights, our Declaration of Independence. I've mentioned to you, again, over and over, my grandson doesn't know crap about the constitutional, most people don't. We have police officers that took an oath, and they can't even tell you about their constitutional rights to uphold the law. It's gotten out of hand. So I would like to know, because I had told you before in the past that when I was in the 8th grade, that it was demanded that we all had to know the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration in order to pass the 8th grade to move on to the 9th grade. And at least we knew our laws and our rules. And these kids today don't seem to know that. So the mandates, they have been done illegally. And you are also all here responsible for upholding those mandates in the schools and the children and the masking and everything. That's all illegal. It's not a constitutional right. It is not. So where is it going to be that maybe the school's going to start teaching the kids their constitutional rights? I would like to know that. because we do have rights that we are being neglected from. And that being said, we have rights and freedoms and they're not being allowed. So, that's my two. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Are there any other audience remarks? Yes.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, so I too am very concerned about those things, having been a health teacher 106 years ago and know that those issues are really of concern. So what I would like to request is that there might be an opportunity for the community to know exactly how those things are taught. I think a lot of times we read and we hear, and I can understand the statement like fifth graders being taught how to masturbate is concerning, as opposed to really understanding what's in the curriculum. And really understanding that how to do something is not taught, it's just the concept that that is something that occurs. So I think that those kinds of nuances are really important. I know that parents get to go to back to school night and have access to the curriculum, that maybe community members could feel more comfortable with the kinds of statements they hear in the news and are talked about, with really having an opportunity to know how that's delivered and really what the reality of what's being delivered is.
Absolutely. Thank you.
My 2 cents.
Any other audience remarks? Seeing none, we will move on to the board secretary certification.
There is no certification needed at the prior
Okay.
meeting.
You guys are getting out of the reports, the certification.
So happens when you have 2 meetings in a month.
I think I'm gonna pass on the approval of board, there is no board minutes either, so I'm gonna pass on that. Can we pass on agenda items as well?
No.
Okay, so no first executive session, we're going to move on to the presentation of agenda items, please.
Thank you. Under personnel, I'd like to move items 1 through 14.
Thank you, Mrs. Stahl, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, any discussion on personnel? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Ms. Malfe?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yeah.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Barry?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under policy, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano, looking for a second. Mrs. O'Barry, any discussion on policy? Roll call, please.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Barry?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Ms. Malfe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 18.
Looking for a motion, please. Thank you, Mrs. Stahl, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Ms. Malfe?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yeah.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Barry?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under special services, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, any discussion on special services? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Barry?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Ms. Malfe?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under curriculum, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Barry, looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Barry?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Ms. Malfe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Referring to the addendum under personnel, I'd like to move items 1 through 6.
Looking for a motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second. Any discussion on personnel on the addendum? Roll call, please.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Ms. Chikini?
Yes.
Ms. Malfoy?
Yeah.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Berry? Yes. Mr. Diaz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under policy, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on policy on the addendum? Roll call, please.
Ms. Malfoy?
Yeah.
Mrs. O'Berry? Yes. Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under finance on the addendum, I'd like to move items 1 and 2.
Thank you, Mrs. Stahl. Looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano. Any discussion on finance on the addendum? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Ms. Malfoy?
Yeah.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Berry? Yes. Mr. Diaz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And under curriculum on the addendum, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Mr. Malfoy. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Chikini. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Malfoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Stahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Abstain.
Mrs. O'Berry? Yes. Mr. Diaz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, at this time, we will move on to unfinished business. Does anyone on the board have any unfinished business they would like to discuss? So none, we will move on to new business. Does anyone on the board have any new business they would like to discuss?
I would just like to, say that what we heard tonight, I think was an awesome thought. And I do hope that we definitely move on it. I'm gonna push for it to be moved on. Georgianne, you're the head of, community outreach. But we might need to borrow you for a few things,
Yeah.
My
Couple
contact
ideas and
information
stuff.
is there.
Yes, I
I-
appreciate that very much. I think it's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I think it fits nicely into some ideas that we've been brainstorming about the districts. As a matter of fact, one of you former babysitters has started a pilot of middle school students coming from here to go down to Lawrence School. Sometimes there's some challenging behaviors with both groups, and they're trying to give them like a leadership responsibility role in some instances. And we only have one trip so far, but we're expanding a little bit on tonight's agenda, so hopefully we'll get some feedback on that. Expand on that, kind of tie it into your,
Perfect kind of application of it, just getting kids connected, but if it happens in each classroom, then every kid gets an opportunity. So it's not restricted by if they can stay after school, it's not restricted by whether they have transportation. It really occurs within the district and benefits both sides.
I think we've all thought about it, we all probably complain about it, but having you come tonight, I think is like a breath of fresh air. That just said, hey, this is going on and here's an idea,
Let's do this.
so thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Is there any other new business? Right, seeing none, I just want to wish a belated, I dropped the ball last week and they wouldn't let me schedule another meeting. But last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I just want to wish a belated happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all of our teachers.
actually Sussex Middle School observed it this week, so
Oh, good, so
today was their
we're covered then, so Sussex Middle School, we're in middle school. But we certainly appreciate our teachers, all of our staff very much. And along the community service aspect, are going to play a vital role in helping our kids get back to normal. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, any other new business? All right, hearing none, we will move on to audience remarks again. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district.
Hi,
Hello.
Tina Longo, fifth grade teacher at the Wantage School, but also co-director for the aftercare program and the summer care program. And Mrs. Hart, Mrs. Henyon, and I would like to say thank you for approving the summer care program for our community and our families that need it. And we want to thank Mr. Gall, Mrs. Riker for all that you've done to keep the program going. And we certainly know that that's what Mr. T would have wanted because he wore his heart on his sleeve and he really did help the community in any way he could help the community, especially the children that he saw day in and day out, probably, 350 days out of the school, out of the year. So we just wanted to say on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for your time, your effort, and for approving the program.
Thank you for stepping up.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
doing it.
you.
Thank you very much. All right, are there any other audience remarks? Yes.
Jim Flynn, 19 Grove Street, Sussex. I just wanted to say that yesterday was National School Nurses Day, so not only did we recognize our teachers, but we wanted to be recognized as, the nurses in the district. We've been through a lot these last couple of years
Happy
with
belated
COVID.
school nursing.
Thank you, and I just wanted Nurse Ratchet, Mr. D'Agostino, to get some.
I'd like to make a motion for that.
And not only does she do that for her students, she does it for her staff. She pulled a little splinter out of my pinky today and put a Band-Aid on it. So she was to my rescue as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And there,
Real quick,
Miss Flynn was my, I'm
this is
sorry.
probably gonna be my last meeting.
Okay, well, if it's your last meeting, I'll let you, go.
I know you guys haven't seen my face.
You're moving. Oh, wow. I guess that,
After 20 years of being here, we're moving. I've got 3 weeks, that's it.
well, we wish you the very best. It's-
My grandson though, obviously, and I'm concerned for all the children, from everything, from the mental issues that they're out dealing with, from the masking and I can't even understand my grandson half the time, and he keeps his head down and he doesn't even make facial contact really anymore. A lot of children have been affected from this, and I'm just really hoping that you're not gonna go off of Murphy's call for September 2022. And you're watching out for our children in the manner that I thought all of us are trying to be. So I'm gonna miss everybody. I'm gonna miss my home, my township, and the people here. And
I
just
appreciate your
hope
involvement.
that you take care of our kids.
We absolutely will. And I know this board and this staff and this administration care deeply about our children, and we appreciate you coming to the meetings and giving your voice, and
Just
We're-
trying to save our kids.
we'll miss you as well, even when you're yelling
I
at
know,
us.
you're
we're still
probably
gonna
glad to
miss
see
you.
me.
No way.
Thorn in the side probably, but I am trying to just take you voice out for our children, and I hope that, that was my question though. Governor Murphy and our counties, do we as a county here have the right to repent and say no?
Not sure we know yet.
I can tell you that, I don't speak for the county, but the region is meeting as a consortium to kind of review the new learning standards and are coming up with conscientious and very articulate opportunities to instruct kids and things of that nature. There's some bills floating around in the legislation that would actually require districts to post information about that topic and give parents some opportunity for
I just
choice.
want the parents to be aware that bill was passed in 2020. And I don't know if anybody in here knew about it, but I didn't. It was just recently brought up to my info from Governor Murphy, just putting out a press release saying it's no new news, this was put out in 2020. Like, huh? I didn't hear about that. I don't think most people did. So that's supposed to start in September, and that's why I'm asking, is this school district here gonna have to do this, or can you vote it out? I don't know. That, that's my biggest complaint, because I think that it's gotten out of hand with this, that they're trying to push on the children. And I think that most people are like me, that should be kept in the home and not taught in the schools in the manner that they wanna try to teach it. So I'm just speaking out. Thank you again.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
ma'am.
and Beth,
Yeah.
we wish you the best, and make sure you
Thanks.
watch us on YouTube.
Oh, I
okay?
will, well, I'm still a homeowner, I'll still be a homeowner here, so I'll still be online, mark my word on it. I will still be online, my daughter and my grandson are moving in my home,
Okay,
okay, so I will still be online.
best wishes.
Thank you.
And Nurse Flynn, I was saying, was, not to age you, Nurse Flynn, but,
I had a student today tell me I look 35. I'm in a good mood today.
My
When
brother,
I told him I was almost 60, he's like, "There's no way you can be 59. My mother's in her 40s, and you're only like 35." I'm like, "Don't know, I'm gonna tell your mother that."
my brother and I had back surgery when we were 8, and Nurse Flynn came to our house and would take care of us, and we didn't even know about the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at that point, but somehow we started calling her Nurse Ratchet. But we love you
And
dearly.
it's stuck.
So thank you for all you and the rest of the nurses do for our district.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for your support. It's been a rough couple of years.
Yes, it is.
Seems so. All right, are there any other audience remarks? Seeing none, we are going to go into the executive session on non-agenda items. No action will be taken. It will be approximately, what do you say, 20 minutes, half hour? Yeah, about a half an hour, I would say at the most. Again, no action will be taken. Can I get a resolution, please, Mrs. Riker? Oh, you want to ask them?
Thank you. Thank you.
It's
I usually have one in my pocket all the time, my sinuses and allergies are going nuts right now, so.
That's good. I'm always taking care of you.
NJSA 10-4-12B, the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education may exclude the public from that portion of a public meeting at which the board discusses any of the matters described in NJSA 10-4-12B 1 through 9. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education shall enter into closed session to discuss a suite of grievance, legal matters, and the superintendent evaluation. Now therefore be it further resolved by the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education that pursuant to NJSA 10-4-13B, the time when and circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public is when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Thank you, Mrs. Riker. Looking for a motion to enter executive session. Thank you. Looking for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. If you're here, we will be back in about a half hour. motion to adjourn, please?
Make a motion.
Looking for a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.